Hopefully that wasn't too loud. What's up guys, it's BT here, and this is my holiday PC peripheral buying guide featuring the Razer test kit. Each layer in this case is a different PC peripheral to test and to find out what is right for you. This currently isn't available to the public, especially during these times, but I figured this would make for a great time to just show you some tips on how to pick out your PC peripherals. This can apply to any brand or any product you choose to go with. It doesn't have to be just Razer, but since Razer did send this out, we'll be applying it to these products that they gave me. Now, before we go on this magical PC peripheral journey, I just want to tell you guys a little bit about today's sponsor, Skillshare. It's an online learning community with thousands of classes covering dozens of creative and entrepreneurial skills. With the premium membership, it gives you unlimited access to join the perfect community to get the skills you need to become successful in your field. Now, I get asked all the time about my editing, my color grading, and where do I learn it from? And well, the simple answer is Skillshare. They've got you covered. I personally used a few classes in the past when I was first learning After Effects, some of the same effects that you will see in today's video. There's also some amazing classes on everyday life like Mastering Habits by Thomas Frank, and did I mention there are no pesky ads to get in the way of you and your learning. It's extremely affordable at less than $10 a day for the annual subscription, and because Skillshare is sponsoring this video, the first 1,000 people to sign up with the link in the description get a free trial. Okay, so on the first layer we have, drum roll please, let's check this out. All right, there's no bomb in here. There's just bomb PC peripherals. All right, so here we have the hard pad, the Akari mouse pad from Razer. We will be going over that shortly. And we also have the Gigantus V2 as well here. Now I have a full guide on how to pick a mouse pad, which I'll link in the description. But for now, I'll just talk about the two kind of mouse pads that we have here in the test kit. Now, like I said, we have that hard pad, the Akari, and the other one is a cloth pad, which is the Gigantus V2. Now, hard pads are generally for medium to high sense users since there is little to no static friction. The one downside of a hard pad is that there is no control or stopping power. So stopping on a dime for flick shots is very difficult, but on the flip side, tracking opponents is very easy. I personally would only use a hard pad if one, I was a casual gamer, or two, I have the manual dexterity. I'm just a genetic freak and I can control it. Now, if you're playing something like WoW, for instance, it won't really matter whether you have a hard pad or a control pad. This is mainly for first-person shooters. And for that, I would choose a pad like the Gigantus V2 from Razer. It's a middle ground pad, not too fast, not too slow. There's a reason why like 99% of pros are using cloth pads. It's because when you're in a sticky situation or a sweaty situation, you want a little leeway with how accurate you are. So for FPS, I definitely recommend a cloth pad or a hybrid pad. Now, Razer doesn't have any hybrid pads, but look at my guide, like I said, on how to pick a mouse pad for more recommendations. On the next layer, we have mechanical keyboards. Now, they are gaining in popularity. Companies like Razer are taking notice, and they're coming out with a lot of quality keyboards. They're offering more sizes, they're offering more switches, and different materials for their keycaps. Now, on this layer, Razer has included two of their best selling keyboards, the Razer Huntsman TE TKL and the Black Widow V3. So when deciding on a keyboard, the first thing that you should consider is what size do you want? How big do you want your keyboard to be? Do you want numpads? Do you want arrow keys? Do you want an F-row? Do you actually use them? Do you want dedicated scroll wheel and multimedia keys like a full-size keyboard would offer? A good middle ground for a keyboard, I believe, is like a TKL, especially if you're starting out and you don't know what to get. They also offer a 60% Razer Huntsman Mini that gets rid of the F-row and these arrow key rows as well, and those will just give you more room on your desk, especially if you are a low sense user. Razer offers a ton of different flavors of their switches. They put a bunch of different ones on this keyboard to test. They also have, let's see if we can test some. You can find out what it is. So these are the red switches here. These are their clicky green, so red, green. So having Razer's optical switches means that there's little to no latency, and they offer some of the fastest actuation on the market. My personal recommendation, if you don't know what to go with, is just to go linear first. There's no tactile feel except for when you bottom out on the key press. Razer's red switches are very light and have a high actuation. The next switch I go with is like a tactile switch. This will give you a tactile bump every time that you press down the switch, letting you know that the key has been registered. This is good if you need to feel that bump to really register it with your brain. And it also doesn't give too much of an audible sound or an audible click like clicky switches. Clicky switches are something where if you want that clickiness, the tactile feel, and a very audible sound, definitely go with clicky switches. You're gonna annoy people that live with you, but I mean, if you think it's worth it, but I'm warning you now, if you get clicky switches, your family might put you out and disown you. They might put your computer, they're gonna take this keyboard for sure, they're gonna put it outside on the lawn, you're gonna come home one day and it's just gonna be a mess. So work your way up. Start with linear, go tactile, and then possibly get clicky. Now, I'm not a fan of clicky switches, as you can tell, but Razer's purple switches are my favorite clicky switch if I did have to use one. So again, if you don't know what to pick, go linear first and then work your way up to clicky. But hopefully you won't get to that point. Now, people always say, BT, how can you be recommending stock keyboards, a Razer keyboard, when you have $500 custom keyboards? Well, first off, let me live. Second, not everybody wants a $200 custom keyboard. Okay, they just want something that looks pretty, has RGB, and performs well. They don't care about sound, they don't care about feel, they just want something that works. The pros don't care about sound, they don't care about feel, they just need it to perform at the highest level. Now, the next thing you want to consider is the keycaps. Materials like ABS on the Black Widow V3. During my review, I advised against this keyboard actually because of the price and the ABS. I just didn't feel like it was worth it. The far better choice, like I said, is the Razer Huntsman TE TKL with the PBT keycaps. They're just a little bit more rougher, but they will last you so much longer. And they're way more resistant to shine, especially with the quality of the ABS on this other Black Widow V3 keyboard. It's just gonna look greasy by the end of your first year, and you just don't wanna deal with it. Now, another thing you want to look at is if the keyboard has a standard bottom row. So a lot of companies, what they'll do is they'll shorten the space bar a little bit so that you can't use these third-party sets. But this just gives your keyboard more life when you can add on third-party sets, because it'll just freshen up your whole setup. So I highly recommend, like Razer did it right, they actually put a standard spacebar on this keyboard. Now, another thing you want to look for is a detachable cord. Now this one has a USB-C port here on the back side with a detachable cable. Now, what you don't want is your keyboard to short out and then you're done. Maybe you want a custom keyboard cable, because you see them on mechanical keyboards on Reddit, and you think, dang, I can't even add it to my Black Widow V3. Oh crap. All right. So those are just a few tips to look at when you're deciding on a keyboard this holiday season. My highest recommendation, if my parents were going to like buy me something, or if you have somebody that's gift giving, I would just tell them to get the Razer Huntsman TE. It's probably the best option that you can actually buy at Best Buy. Whew. All right, now for headphones, we're moving through this quick. For headsets, there's a ton of different options out there, but there's only a few good ones. Now, my advice is to check out reviews first and foremost to hear what the mics sound like, because who wants to spend $150 on a headset and then you're gonna sound like C3PO? You don't want that, all right? You want clean, crisp audio to communicate with your teammates or friends. All right, guys, so this is a test of the microphone on the Blackshark V2. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I am going to now switch over to the Kraken, and yeah, we're gonna see how that one sounds like. All right, now we have switched over to the Kraken. Let me know what you guys think of the quality of the Kraken. Which one did you like better, the Blackshark V2 Pro or these Kraken Ultimates? Then you want something with good sound where you can listen to music and you can game with it, because who wants to switch between a high-end set of headphones and this? You just want a clean setup. You just want one pair of headsets and call it a day. For the sound, you want something with good sound stage so you can place enemies and just have an overall immersive experience. Most gaming headsets have like Dolby Digital or THX surround sound. Now, one of the best headphones that actually came out this year was the Blackshark V2s. These have a nice balance of surround sound and also a little bit of kick for explosions. It's not thin at all on bass. These are going to be perfect for competitive gaming. Then you have headphones like the Kraken, the big boys. These have a lot more bass, if you couldn't tell by their humongous size. These are really going to be good for casual games, like if you want to play Assassin's Creed or first single player games where you just really want to be immersed in the experience. You also want to pay attention to the materials that are used on these as well, on the ear cups. Do you want leather or do you want a breathable mesh? Breathable mesh is good for long sessions, but they can be a little bit more rough compared to the leather or gel infused. Now, the good thing about Razer headsets is that they are cross-platform as well. So that's something that you want to look for. These will work with like PC, Xbox, PS5. That could be a real game changer when it comes to usability, because you won't have to buy multiple headsets depending on what system you're using. So make sure it has a USB or an adapter to a 3.5 jack. The best way, since you can't really test the sound yourself, is just listen to reviews. Like I said, headphones are one of the most subjective things, so getting feedback on what the sound is like can just save you a bunch of heartache. And then you have wireless as well. Do you want a wireless headset? Because a lot of them come in a corded or a wireless version. So that's one thing to think about. You're going to be looking at a $50 increase, I believe, for a wireless version, but sometimes it's nice not to have another wire on your desk. Last but not least, we have the mouse layer. All right, now I plan on doing a full video on how to pick a mouse in the future, but for now I'll just use this Razer kit as an example about how I would go about choosing a mouse for this holiday season for somebody that's new or who's been around and who's looking for their perfect mouse. Now, first, what I would do is measure my hand from the bottom of my palm to the tip of my middle finger. Then I measure from this side of my palm over to this little bone that sticks out over here. For instance, my hand is 19 by 8.5 centimeters and I'm considered a medium-handed user. Next, you want to figure out what is your grip style. I also have a guide on that, but for now, I'll just go over it quickly so that you can determine what kind of grip you have. Now, palm is where you lay your entire hand on the mouse. There's contact all over the mouse. Then there's claw grip, where the bottom of your palm touches the back of the mouse and the fingertips touch near the front of the mouse. And there's a little gap between the middle of your fingers. And then there's the less common fingertip grip, where you just touch the fingers with only your fingertips near the front of the mouse and your palm isn't touching the mouse at all. So what you can do is just grab your mouse and see which grip style looks like the one on the screen. Now that we've got that figured out, we can finally look at some mice. If you're a palm grip user, I recommend looking at Ergo mice first. These are mice that have curvatures for right-handed users, and they'll allow you to lay your hand comfortably on the mouse, and it'll force your hand to kind of bend to the left a little bit, releasing some of the stress on your wrist, so very comfortable. Claw grip can also use Ergo mice, but I find it not to be as effective. Normally, Ergo mice like the included Razer Basilisk or the Death Adder V2 Pro wireless are great choices. Each one of them serves a different purpose. The heavier Basilisk at 107 grams kind of lends itself towards the casual side, and the Death Adder V2 Pro wireless, it kind of lends itself more to the competitive FPS side. Speaking of weight for FPS, I like to stay in the range of 60 to 80 grams, but you can go as high as 90 grams if you want to push it a little bit. There's still plenty of pros that use mice up around that range, and they have sick aim, so hey, who am I to say? If you play single player games or games like WoW, weight isn't really an issue though. So something like the Razer Basilisk with the extra side buttons, adjustable scroll wheel, and comfortable shape will fit the bill for something like that. And something like the Naga Pro has a removable side panel, so you can put 6 buttons or you could put 12 buttons on here, so you can bind your spells or abilities or custom commands in game. For competitive shooters, you want something on the lighter side like the Razer Viper Ultimate. It's the #1 mouse right now. It's wireless, has optical switches, very accurate, no debouncing. It's lightweight at 74 grams, and its ambidextrous shape is great for claw grip, fingertip grip, and even palm grip. It has a very safe shape, and it can really do it all. Most people will be able to fit this unless your hands are on the really, really small side. If you're kind of scared that your hands are too small, You could also look at something like the Razer Viper Mini. Now, if you're a palm grip user, having a bigger mouse is recommended because you need that mouse to fill out your entire hand. If you have small hands, a bigger mouse will still suit you, like I said. Now, if you're a claw grip user, I recommend having a mouse that's around the same size as your hand or slightly smaller when you combine the height and the length, because your fingers are going to be curled up near the front of the mouse. So for instance, my hand is 19 centimeters, so I converted that to 190 millimeters. When I combine the length and the height of like the Razer Viper Ultimate, which has 127 millimeter length and a height of 66, it adds up to 193. So this mouse feels borderline too big for me, but it's usable. Then you have something like the Razer Viper Mini, which is 118 millimeters long and 53 millimeters high, totaling 171, and that mouse feels damn near perfect in my hand. So these are just some rough estimates to get you somewhere close to where you should be at in terms of mouse size. It's not a science, but it's just something that I've kind of looked at and I've been playing around with the numbers in my head. This is a little gem I'm throwing in here. I have never said that before, so try it out. Now keep in mind the shape still might not feel comfortable even with that calculation, but hey, it's better than nothing. Now it's easier to find something when you're a fingertip grip user because the rest of your hand doesn't have to be resting comfortably on the mouse, just your fingers at the front of the mouse. For fingertip grip though, I recommend a smaller mouse, but you can use bigger mice just as long as there's enough clearance for your palm to not get in the way. And then there's also something like the Death Adder V2 Mini, which can work if you have very, very small hands and you're a palm grip user. This is actually one of my personal favorites for fingertip grip as well, because the curvature isn't so crazy on this mouse that it like messes up your fingertip grip. So I really like this one as well. So it's not a one size fits all. You just kind of have to do your best, try to follow this guide of what I'm telling you to try to pick out the best mouse for you or whoever you're buying a gift for. All right guys, so that is gonna do it for this Razer test kit. This is my first time actually trying the Razer Naga Pro. I'm kind of curious. I might try to game with this a little bit later. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. It has been your boy BT. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.